Unmute my speaker. My speaker is unmuted. Step this down. What's that? Oh, it's a chair leg. I always forget this part also gets recorded and uploaded. So while the people on Zoom don't see it, all my friends on Patreon who watch it after see this very funny little setup moment. Yeah. I could edit it out, but I kind of like the behind the scenes energy. So, hey folks, this is what I do. But you already know that because you've seen this about 30 times at this point. Okay, and it's time. Hi, everyone. Happy day. I don't know what day it is. Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. So glad you're here. Welcome to class. My name is Raina. This is my partner, the Green Wizard. He's not wearing green today. And we'll be doing, and there's Snoop. He's wily today. So if you see me dancing around, he's why. This is a Yin Flow class. And so for today's class, we'll start standing and we'll get started in a couple minutes. So don't worry. But we're going to start standing and then we'll take it down to the ground and do some longer held Yin postures. And for our Yin sequence today, we're going to be folding and opening. And so if you're someone who knows yourself to have slightly tighter hips or a less mobile spine today, I do recommend either having a good amount of blocks, because as we fold, we really want to bring the ground close to us, or even a little chair or a stool. You could use your couch, just ensuring that you really have the support that's necessary to give your body the space to find some ease, because that's really what we're trying to do. Otherwise, you don't need anything particularly special. Oh, actually, you'll want some blankets or a bolster, because we're folding, but then we're also opening. And so these are going to be really helpful for both parts of that. Obviously, you can hear my voice is a little weaker than usual. I'm going to do my best to not cough at you all. And so if you hear any weird mutes or anything, it's probably me just covering the mic to spare you my coughing. So we will get started in just about 2 minutes. So grab any of those props, or if you have any questions about the props or substitutions, you can feel free to ask now. I'll take my thing off mute. And just let me know. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then we'll get started standing. How are you feeling today? Good. How's your body feeling?
Tight.
Yeah, same.
Sit up at desk a lot.
Yeah, he's in medical school, and so he's at his desk a lot. And so we're going to do some nice chest opening and shoulder opening, because I think that's the story for a lot of our lives. Maybe not medical school, but the rest of it. All right, cool. If you see me walk towards you at any point, it's just to let someone else into class. You don't have to also walk towards your computer screen. Awesome. Well, let's get started. So coming to the center of your mat, facing the long direction with your right foot towards what you've decided is the top of your mat and your left foot towards the back of your mat, whatever decision you're making today. Step your feet just about hips distance apart, finding just a really comfortable stance here. And I know standing can only be so comfortable, honestly, but looking for your most easeful stance. Give your hips a little wiggle, thighs a little jiggle, hands a shake. And just kind of settling in. And it's later in the day for most of us, so just taking a little stock of how your body's feeling. Seeing what positions kind of call to you, what areas really want some movement, just kind of bouncing around. You don't have to shake, but for me, it's just a nice way to check in. And we'll take this for about 10 more rounds of breath. And then we'll find a little bit of stillness on our mat here. So just kind of letting out a little bit of that erratic energy, shaking off any bullshit that has landed on you during this day. Not welcome on your mat. I mean, it's welcome, but we're trying to work through it. 3 more rounds of breath here. And then slowly just let your movement dissolve. And you don't need to find stillness, as I like to call a stillishness, and allow your eyes to close or your gaze to soften. And if you find yourself gently swaying side to side or wiggling your toes, it's okay. Just kind of be aware of these more or less involuntary things we do when we're asked to stand still. And just really feeling grounded through your feet. And letting that grounded kind of energy feel as if it's really trickling up. So this kind of fuzzy feeling drawing up your legs. And slowly just filling your body. Starting our practice today with these kind of 3 moments of gratitude that I've been really enjoying coming to. And so taking a moment right here to give some gratitude, give some graciousness, and some big thank yous to the practice that we borrow from, that we participate in, the yoga practice, to our land, people who came before us, just the spaces that we occupy. Just doing so, again, with graciousness, with humility, with respect. Some gratitude for the space in your life to come to your mat, to share this practice with each other, with yourself. And gratitude for your body, period. With your next exhale, just try to clear your body out, slow, even. Draw a nice breath in through your nose. And trill your lips like a little horse as you exhale. And 2 more just like that. So nice, even breath in. And trill your lips, exhale. 1 more, inhale. And trill your lips, exhale. And using this last moment of stillness to maybe set an intention or an anchor for tonight's practice, as we will move a lot more slowly, especially in the latter half of class. It's nice to have something to hold you in this space, to keep you present. And slowly blinking your eyes open, refocusing your gaze, and stepping your feet just a little bit wider, giving ourselves almost kind of like a triangle base here. I think it kind of is a triangle. Toes can slightly turn out. Just whatever really feels comfortable here. I don't recommend toes turning in. It'll put a little bit of weird tension on the knee. So toes forward or toes slightly out. Take a big breath in and draw your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, roll your shoulders down your back. Good. Inhale, shoulders to your ears. Exhale, down the back. Last one. Inhale, shoulders up. And exhale, shoulders down your back. Keep that chest a little lifted. And this time as you inhale, reach your arms overhead. Draw a big circle around your body. Exhale, elbows towards your hips, cactus your arms wide. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, cactus your arms wide. One more like that. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms wide, holding here. Finding a little angle in your arms. So hands reach back, elbows reach forward, shoulders relax away from the ears, and then give your spine just a little hug with your shoulder blades for 3. Knees can soften if they're feeling locked out for 2. Last one. Good. Bringing your arms back overhead, but this time palms face the sky. Backs of your hands are over your head and elbows are bent. And so you're kind of in this like almost raise the roof-esque position here. I'm finding your spot right here, relaxing your shoulders back away from your ears if they crept up. We're coming into like these half circle swings. Start to reach your arms back and then draw them in front of you. And then slide them back once again, reach them overhead, palms face the sky. So reach your arms back and then swing them down by your rib cage, bring them in front of you. Reach them back and open, press up, arms come back overhead. Adding the breath, inhale, arms come back. Exhale, forward. Inhale, arms back, we open. Exhale, overhead. Inhale, back. Exhale, forward. Inhale, back. Exhale, overhead. One more. Inhale, back. Exhale, forward. Just finding that little pause. Inhale, open. Exhale, overhead. And then slowly, like you're pressing the air in a big circle around you, release your arms down by your side. Taking a few rounds of breath here. And we'll come into some kind of like yoga pulses, yoga asana pulses. We've done them in class with me before. And so we'll start with our warrior one, with our right foot turning towards the top of the mat, bending into your right knee in a soft bend. Left toes can face the edge of your mat or find a little angle. And then take a moment, find a stance here that feels really good on your hips. Like when you're pulsing, you're like, ooh, that's a nice little stretch. Inner thigh, kind of groin area. And once you find that shape, allow your knee to bend, find a little stillness and reach your arms out. I know this is warrior 2 arms, kind of warrior 1 legs, but it's all made up anyway. And so finding a little space here, little stillness. And we'll start coming into these pulses. We'll take the first couple rounds slow so we can get familiar with the motion. Start to reach your right arm forward. And then reach back, dropping your left hand to your left thigh. Right arm reaches overhead. And your left hand can also become behind your back. So just finding a spot here in this kind of reverse warrior shape. Taking a little stillness at first. Then again, we'll make things more fluid. Good, returning with your arms out. And this time, reach forward. And instead of coming back, we're going to straighten our leg and drop our hand to our calf, reaching our left arm high for a bit of a soft, soft triangle pose here. So holding here, and maybe you bring blocks under your hands instead of coming to your calf, or even that little stool or chair if you have one. Using this time to gather information about where you're situating yourself in this posture, because that'll give you a little more ease as we make things more fluid. Good, coming up, allow your knee to bend. Adding a little breath, inhale, reach your right arm forward, reverse warrior, exhale, left arm drops, right arm overhead, holding here for 3, 2, and 1. Come back to your warrior with your arms out. On an inhale, reach your right arm forward. Exhale, straighten your right leg. Drop your right hand down, left arm up, holding here. And your right leg doesn't need to be super straight here, just a little bit straighter than what it was. One more breath. Come back up to your warrior, bend your knee. Let's take it breath to movement if that feels good. So inhale, right arm forward. Exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale, right arm forward. Exhale, triangle. Inhale, right arm forward, bend your knee. Exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior, right arm forward. Exhale, straight leg triangle. Inhale, right arm forward, warrior. Exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior. Exhale, triangle. One more here. Inhale, warrior. Find that little reach. Exhale, reverse. Inhale, warrior. Exhale, triangle. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands come to your hips. Turn your toes. So you come to the long edge of your mat once again. And then we'll just face the other direction. So coming onto the back, settling yourself in and taking just that little bit of time to arrive, finding how wide you want your stance to be, how lengthy, and deciding how much heat you want to build. Giving your shoulders a little jostle. And then once you find that spot, left knee bends, arms extend. Finding a little bit of stillness here. And if you're trying to set your quad on fire, go for it. But if you're trying to find a little more softness today, that's great too. Somewhere in the middle is wonderful. It's your practice. Start to reach your left arm forward. Reverse warrior, right arm drops, left arm overhead. Taking a few rounds of breath here. And you can play with how bent that front knee is. You can really get into the hips if you deepen the stance, or you can soften and feel a little bit more stretch and strength through the hamstrings. One more breath. Return to warrior. Start to reach your left arm forward. And then begin to straighten your left leg. Left hand drops down, find some support. Right arm softly extends. So we're not so much like holding a stick. Our arms are so stiff, like a traditional triangle. We have a little bend in the elbow, kind of like a little limpness in the wrist here. And just that little bit of energy through the fingertips, keeping things in line. Coming up, back into your warrior. Bend your left knee. One more slow round with a little breath to movement. So with an inhale, reach your left arm forward. Exhale, reverse warrior for 3 rounds of breath, finding length. With an inhale, come back into warrior. Find that little reach. And then as you exhale, drop your left hand down. Left leg moves a little straighter. Right arm comes up for 3 rounds of breath. Good. Coming up, bend your left knee, arms extend. Let's take breath to movement if you'd like, or find a pace that feels really honest for you. So with an inhale, reach, reach, reach forward. Exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior and reach. Exhale, triangle. Inhale, warrior with a little reach. Exhale, reverse. Inhale, warrior. Exhale, triangle. Inhale, warrior. Exhale, reverse. Inhale, warrior, reach. Exhale, triangle, one more. Inhale, warrior. Exhale, reverse. Inhale, warrior. And exhale, triangle. Inhale, come to warrior. Exhale, hands to your hips. Turn so you're facing the long edge of your mat. Step your feet in and give your feet a little shake. You can put the top of your foot onto the ground, just a little press to give the top of the foot a stretch. Doing both sides. I'm way more balanced on one side. Good. And then coming back to the center, stepping your feet wide once again, just taking a little bit of a break. And we'll come into some rolling or goddess cat-cow here. And so bend your knees, hands come to your thighs. Think cat-cow here in the spine, so an arched back and a round spine, but with movement. So very slowly for the first round, start to arch your back, bend your knees, drop your chest between your thighs, or kind of energetically between your thighs. And now round your spine, really press your hands into your thighs as you straighten your legs. Head is the last thing to rise. Good, arch your back, start to fold, bend your knees, belly, chest, reach towards the ground. Round your back, begin to straighten your legs. Head's the last to rise. Adding breath, inhale, cow pose, drop it down real slow. Exhale, round up, cat pose. Good, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. 3 more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. For 2. Last one. Coming to stand. Arms can rest by your sides. Feet can wiggle in to a more sustainable stance. Take 5 rounds of breath and just a little bit of stillness. Observing any heat you've created. Anything that's moving around. Beautiful. And you can turn to face the top of your mat. There's really no need to walk to the top, just turning your body. Nice, slow inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, start to fold forward. Take your knees, or take your feet wide, pardon me. Bend your knees and make space for your body. You can even really gently, with a loving touch, pull your belly, pull your chest towards the middle of your legs. Just give yourself that little bit of space. Grab your elbows with your hands, gently sway side to side. Also, if you have that stool and swaying doesn't feel good, you can place your hands on a stool, on blocks, and give yourself a higher ground and a little bit more support. And release your hands down. And then just start to bend your knees and make your way towards a tabletop. And just pausing in your tabletop here and taking a few rounds of breath to kind of assimilate to this level. You can keep your chin tucked towards your chest. You can move through a few cat-cow. Whatever's feeling good for you right now. Beautiful. Okay. And from here, we're going to just make our way onto our bottoms as we get into, I guess, kind of the chunkier part of practice. Getting into yin postures isn't fluid necessarily, and that's okay. And so when we're getting into these postures, we're going to take our time. It's not necessarily going to be pretty. And that's really the point. So grab your bolster, or if you don't have a bolster, a couple pillows, you can stack a few blankets, and you're going to sit on it. We really want hips high here, hips kind of above our knees. So sit on what you've got, and we're coming into a shoelace pose. Yeah, you're going to want a little more height. We're going to come into shoelace pose or Gomukhasana, cow face pose, minus the arms. And so we're going to kind of build into this a little bit, starting by extending your left leg and pull your right knee towards your armpit or towards your chest. You can start right here and then see how it feels to cross your right foot over your left leg. You may need to create a little more space by stepping your foot farther. This is giving you like half Gomukhasana here. Great place to stop and start. If you'd like to bend your left knee, lean towards your left, bend your left foot towards your bottom. I'm going to angle myself so you guys can see me a little better. And so we have kind of a soft Gomukhasana here. If this feels good, if you feel stable and like both butt cheeks are making some kind of contact with what's under you, this is a great place to stop. If you are familiar with this posture, my recommendation for you would be to rock forward, wiggle your knees together, pull your feet out, and then sit back. And so you get a slightly different shape in your legs, feet are out a little wider. They're all good versions. This is where we're gonna go. And then we're gonna fold. And so what I really like with the stool here, maybe you can use a stool, is creating some height. You can bring your hands onto blocks and fold forward here, but you can also fold forward so that your head can rest onto a stool like his is, or you can create a very big block stack and rest your head like so. I just find this a little less stable. And so wherever you are, we are simply folding forward and finding ideally some way to rest our head. And we're going to spend about 2 minutes here. And so really find something that feels sustainable. Never be afraid to change your shape, to shift. Do you need a little more height?
I like this one happy.
Okay,
It's like yours.
cool. And always feel free to check in with yourself, the people around you, as long as you're not disturbing them. You're doing great. Almost there. Ten more rounds of breath here, of my breath. One more breath. Good. And really slowly, like take your time, take a few rounds of breath to bring yourself up. And then bring your hands just out to the sides. I like to use blocks here under my hands, but if your fingertips touch the ground, or even your block or your bolster, that's great as well. And just finding a little press, a little length in your spine. For 3, 2, Good. And one, you can just lean back, soften, and extend both legs. Give them a little wiggle, a little shake. Point your toes, flex your toes, make some circles with your feet. Good. And we're going to come straight into the other side, and then we're really going to kind of find some more space, as this is a very compressive shape. So this time our right leg stays extended, left leg bends in, and then again, see where you are. See how it feels to cross your left foot over your right leg, maybe making a little more space by sliding that foot a little further out. You can still fold here. You can stack things up on your knee. And then maybe you softly bend one leg in, the right leg in. You have this slightly more compressed shape. Or maybe you're moving towards kind of a tight compression, knees coming together. And then wherever you are, start to fold forward. Making a little stack or finding a way to rest your head. And with yin, I really invite you to get creative. If the goal is to fold forward and rest your head, there's a million ways we could potentially do that by using props on our body, by using our head in our hands. Just trying to find a little bit of ease.
This side's not the same.
Yes, reminding yourself that your sides are not the same. And so what worked really well on one side may not work nearly as well on the other side. And again, we'll spend just about 2 minutes here. Giving yourself space to readjust, to soften, or to find more ease, more comfort. About halfway there. Ten more rounds of my breath here. And slowly making your way up. And then bringing your arms out to the side. You can even press them into your lap if that feels more available. And just spending a few rounds of breath here. And slowly softening, leaning back and extending both legs. Good. And then from here, you may have a lot of space between your knees and the earth. Just take a blanket, fill those gaps, or a pillow, or some blocks even. That's great. And feet are about hips distance, but maybe a little wider. And we're going to come into, I don't actually know what's called in yin. We're going to come into a forward fold, but it's very soft and it's going to be very round in the spine. And so you're going to want a stack once again. This is kind of our last compressive and folding shape before we open things up, but we're opening the hamstrings up a little bit. And so make a stack and then start to fold forward, dropping your head just down onto something and really giving, here, use this blanket under your, but just, yeah, giving yourself space to soften your head, a space to rest. And if you're like, I'm not really feeling much physically, that's okay. We don't always need to have like screaming sensation to be reaping the benefits of a posture and certainly not of the yoga practice. And so in these softer moments, in these less physically sensational moments, I really invite you to drop within, be with your breath, see if you can find that quiet in the body, like in the interior of the body and not just in the physical body. And we're just going to take about 10 more rounds of breath here. Good. Really slowly coming up. Taking your time, and then once again, just bringing your hands to something stable as you sit up, something you can press into. And sitting tall in the posture, hands can be out to your sides, they can be a little in front of you. Good. And then just doing me a favor and checking behind you, making sure that you have a room on the mat for your body. And if not, gracefully scoot down the mat, but keep your bolster or your blankets with you because we're going to lay over them, starting with them under our hips. And so we want to keep them low. And it may just be a blanket on the ground that may be enough lift for you. It may be a bolster. You can pop a couple blocks together. We just want a lift in our hips and then lay down. Start with your knees bent and see how it feels. If this feels like too much for your lower back, if you're feeling any pinching, especially with your knees bent, lower your stack a little bit. Bring yourself a little closer to the ground. Or if you're just like, I'm not feeling much, you can try straightening your legs and see what that does. This is kind of like a supported bridge posture, supported wheel pose is more so how I like to think of it. And we're going to spend a little time here to start, just really getting situated in this space with our hips lifted. This is great if you ever have cramps, especially pelvic cramps. If you're someone who has a period, this is really, really nice for opening this whole area up. It's also great if you sit a lot of your day, just finding this kind of opposition in the hip flexors from how they are when we're seated to how they are right now. And so we'll take about another minute just right here. And I'm going to be quiet. About 5 more rounds of breath here. And you're welcome to stay like this through the next 2 postures. But if you'd like, start to draw your right knee towards either your chest or your armpit, just creating kind of a little more space where each of us individually need it. And then bring your hand either behind your thigh, maybe the top of the shin. I'm a personal fan of just like behind the thigh, letting the leg hang out a little bit. But if you're looking for more structured, really pulling the knee towards the armpit, maybe you grab your blanket, pop that behind your thigh to give your arms a little more length. And we'll spend a minute here, and then I'll call for a switch. But if you're staying with both legs extended or slightly bent, then you just chill. Halfway there. And slowly just releasing your right leg if you are holding it, extending it back down your mat. Taking a couple breaths just in between sides. And then we'll draw our left knee just up and in, maybe out a little bit, finding your spot, making space for your body, maybe using a blanket. And we'll spend that minute here. A little more than halfway. And slowly release your left leg down. Taking a few rounds of breath here. Good. And then drawing both your knees up towards your armpits or towards your chest. And you can wiggle your lower back a little more onto the bolster for this, kind of just like a rocking side to side and a little elbow shimmy. And then let your knees drop towards your armpits. And if you'd like, you could extend your legs and kind of rock a little forward and back, reaching your toes over your head and then back towards the sky. Or you can find a little happy baby shape here, grabbing behind your thighs or maybe around your feet. And if happy baby feels like challenging to grab your feet sometimes, having more height on under your bottom can really be helpful. But I personally like this plow rock today. And so we'll take about a minute here, just kind of exploring any baby-like movement that may feel good for you right now. You can reach your toes towards the sky, pointing and flexing. Rock your hips side to side. A little more than halfway there. Good. And if you're in happy baby, release whatever part of your body you're holding. Everyone will slowly bring both their feet down to the ground. And however you want to get there, you can wiggle, you can sit up. We're going to move this bolster up to under our upper back. And so that can look like a slide, like I just did. If you're using blankets, you're probably going to need to get up. But just bringing our bolster right under our shoulders, that thoracic spine area. Grab your elbows with your hands, or you can interlace your fingers and then drop your arms overhead. Let your head drop back. Throat opens. And you can extend your legs or you can keep your knees bent. Just see how your lower back feels. We'll take a minute here. Like I said, folding and opening. And if you really want to try to expend some stale energy, you can try exploring a lion's breath here, which is simple. You inhale through your nose, and then you exhale through your mouth. You stick your tongue out, and your gaze, like your eyes go crossed. And so you shift up towards your third eye, your Ajna chakra. And so it's just something fun to explore. It can feel really good in a position that's already opening your chest. And it's very audible. You can probably hear my partner. He's going for it. And that is part of the reason I like him. And we'll take about 5 more rounds of whatever breath you like here. Good. And now we're going to roll onto our left side, keeping our rib cage on the bolster. And so you can bend your knees, shift your hips first, roll your legs, and then roll your body. Your elbows can stay bent until you get there. And then you can extend both arms. You can grab your right wrist with your left hand. And if you've ever done banana asana before on your back, where you're making a crescent moon kind of shape, this is very similar. And so you can also try extending your legs and crossing your left ankle over your right thigh. And if it feels like a bit too much to have these crosses, you don't have to cross. You can soften your arms. You can cradle your head with your hands. We're just looking for a little bit of opening through the right side of the body right now. We'll just take 5 more rounds of breath here. And we'll come back to the middle for a few before we do the other side. Good. And then slowly uncross your ankles. You can release your hands and roll back towards the middle of your blanket stack, your bolsters, your pillows, really whatever you're using. Give yourself a little height. And just find some length from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. And then we'll just roll onto our right side here. And so you might want to check, make sure you have enough room. Maybe scoot your body left a little bit and then bend your knees, drop them first, and then let your chest roll. Extend your legs maybe. We want our left limbs moving towards the ground. And so left foot moves towards the ground by being draped, or by having the right draped over it, and left hand moves towards the ground by grabbing the left wrist. Just spend that little bit of time here. About 5 more rounds of breath here. Sorry. He's a very good attack dog. I got him. And then just slowly roll back to the middle and find that little bit of length, reaching from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes, opening through the chest. Taking just a few more rounds of breath here. Whew, got up a little fast. Good. And then releasing your arms down kind of to the sides, just giving yourself a way to roll off of your bolster, blankets, whatever it is, slide them out, and then lay down flat on your back. And just give yourself a little space to feel the ground under you, to feel really supported. If your legs are straight, that's fine. If they're bent, that's fine. And using this last minute to explore any last movements that may fully satisfy your practice today. So with a yin class, there's just no way to get to everything, and that's okay. So if you want to find any twists, any other shapes that will just feel good and give you space to be still, as we'll come into Shavasana in the next minute or so. So a little playtime, a little free time. And maybe you just take this time to set yourself up for a really cushy Shavasana, supporting your knees, putting a blanket over you or something over your eyes. Just a reminder to you that Shavasana can look however it needs to. On your belly, on your side, sitting up, give yourself the support and space you need to find some physical stillness. Because our physical stillness ideally brings us to some internal stillness. And that's really what so much of this practice is about. Just finding a little freaking quiet, a little presence. So beginning to settle into that still, quiet space, knowing that still is a relative term. Letting your eyes close if they haven't. And choosing your path. Are you focusing on the breath, the spaces in between? Or are you taking an intentional mind dump? Are you just letting it go, dumping the brain out? Just honoring what you need and making the choice with intention. So we'll take a few minutes here. And I'll bring you out when the time comes. So enjoy your Shavasana, my friends.
And just beginning to deepen your breath. You know your space, you know your time. If you'd like to spend more time in Shavasana, please do so. If you're ready to add some movement in, start by taking deeper inhales. Just more complete exhales. And then just exploring those little movements that turn into bigger movements. Taking up a little bit more space. And eventually just changing your shape, taking twists, rolling onto your belly or a side. I'm using about the next 5, 10, however many rounds of breath just to meet me in a comfortable seat. Crisscross, legs out. Allowing your eyes to stay closed for the journey or closing them once you arrive. Once you get there, bring your palms together, gently start to rub, creating a little heat, a little warmth. And then hovering one hand over your belly, one hand over your chest, maybe slowly drawing them towards your body. Maybe you make contact. Just taking a moment to feel soothed right here. Not by yourself, but by yourself. Feeling your breath move through your body, feeling your heartbeat. Either in your head or out loud, say thank you to yourself for making time to come to your mat, making space for your practice and your well-being, and for your softness, making space for your ease. A moment to thank your body for being wonderful. I encourage you, as always, to find as many moments as you can to just be in awe of yourself, be inspired by yourself, be appreciative of all that you do. With a small bow of my head, maybe do a small bow of your head. Thank you. Thank you for being here,
for giving me grace and space, for sharing your practice with me. It's truly such a gift. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to hang around so you can ask them. But if not, you're welcome to move on with the rest of your day or night, wherever you are. So thank you again for being here. This is the last class for April, and I will have my May schedule out by Saturday. So thank you all again, and yeah, take care. Bye. And thank you. I coughed in my elbow. In my elbow.
Time for change.
I know. So I'm just gonna grab a little chair. Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. I just like to leave a little space, no pressure to ask any questions. But yeah, just a little space if you do have any questions about anything we did. Thank you. I'm feeling better. I'm on the up swing. Modern medicine. I'm on the mend. So I'm just going to be quiet for a second and then I'll sign off. Okay, cool. Well, if you do have any questions, always feel free to hit me up on email and I will see you all next time. So thank you again. Have a good night.